Welcome to the Insurance Marketing Organization podcast, where financial services marketing expert Seth Green interviews IMO experts, executives, and top producers to share can't-miss tips on how they successfully manage their IMOs, grow their businesses, create great relationships, and influence the industry. And now, here's your host, Seth Green.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Green. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing Chris Ewing of One Inc., the insurance software company built by insurance people that helps insurers modernize their organization through frictionless payment experience, delighting policyholders, and streamlining internal operations. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Seth. Thank you very much for having me. Excited to have the opportunity to talk to you.
Our pleasure. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did One Inc. get started?
Oh, it's a great question. So I was running an insurance company and a couple of other insurance entities, and we had a payment problem that was related to a bunch of different assets that we had. So we had a bank involved, we had a website involved, we had a telecommunications provider. In the middle of trying to solve all of this, I was like, why doesn't one vendor just do all this stuff? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. We should do it, because we'd also built some software along the way. And that's really how it came about. So that's where One Inc. was born.
All right. And for our folks watching and listening, tell us a little bit about what One Inc. does. I know I didn't do you justice.
Sure. So we are one of the leading providers of payments, digital payments for the insurance industry. And we have over 180 customers, and we process around $20 billion of payments now a year. And we are growing at a very, very fast pace. You could say that we're an insurtech, and last year we over doubled our insurance payments, and we are on track to do that again this year. So it's been great.
Congratulations. So what do you think is the unique differentiator that is setting you apart from your competition?
Sure. So I think probably the biggest differentiator is we are insurance people who have built an insurance payment software platform solving insurance use cases, and that's it. And so a lot of our competitors, if you're a big bank, you think that you do X. And then another company, somebody like Stripe, thinks that they do Y. Then another company does a couple of other things. Well, we do all of it in one platform, specifically designed for insurance, and we handle both inbound payments, so premium payments, and we handle both an outbound disbursement, so claims payments, which is a very insurance-centric item. And you add up all that together, and along the way, there's, as everybody knows in software and in building companies, the difference between you and other people can be very small, but those differences are very large. So for example, having the disbursements capability along with the inbound capability is absolutely critical.
So obviously you're growing so fast. What has the reception been, not only among the clients, but obviously among the end user customers?
It has been unbelievably great. So again, because we are solving specific use cases that they have trouble doing with their current vendors that we are usually either replacing or adding things onto, it's been fantastic. We really started the business in 2014 on the payment side. We've never lost a customer. And again, we've been growing at a really big clip. Not losing customers is very hard to do. And that's really a testament to how our product is. And our product suite is really growing and adding new features and functions that they need. So it's been great.
Awesome. And then give us a little bit of a deeper dive in terms of all the different vendors that you're kind of replacing almost.
Yeah. So if you think about the policy billing or claims solution, which is the ERP, and the bank account, we solve a whole bunch of stuff between those two items. So if you take somebody like Guidewire, they do all of the core processing, and they get to the point where they're either going to accept a payment or take a payment, and that's where we step in. So first thing we do is reconciliation and routing. And so the reconciliation piece, we replace financial reconciliation software that you traditionally reconcile to a GL system, where we reconcile directly to the ERP systems in insurance. Then the next thing that we do is we provide all of the PCI compliance, so removing all of the PAN data out of their networks. But to do that, we have to integrate with all of the different touch points. So, we have web applications, we have a whole portal, we have mobile applications, we integrate with the core systems. And so we're replacing a lot of pieces there. But of course, the main piece of that is legacy banks, replacing that so that we're providing all of the PCI compliance and network removing all of that from their network. The other piece that we do is insurance companies have historically been very reactive, meaning that I have a problem with a payment, a problem with a policy, and I have to reach out to the carrier. So we've added a digital engagement component where we will reach out to customers on certain key events like a policy's been canceled or a payment is due or you're going to receive a claim payment. And so we are also replacing legacy IVRs. So, you have those old legacy IVRs that sit in the back room, and somebody wants to make a payment or they want to make changes to that logic, they hand it off to us, and then we have very insurance-specific use cases around that. So telephony we're also replacing, as well as just the whole digital engagement component. A lot of it is new, so being able to do that. And then the other thing that we do that is really different is allow for a lot of different payment methods. So on both inbound and outbound, of course, we do the legacy, ACH and those sort of things, but we also do real-time payments. So if we want to take a payment from you and then pay out a claim to you, we can do that instantly doing things like direct to debit, ACH, Venmo, PayPal, and all of that. So we're also partnering with a lot of the legacy payment vendors and being additive in just the insurance context.
That makes a lot of sense. What types of insurance companies are you working with?
That's an excellent question, because insurance is interesting because each carrier that is in a specific line of business think of themselves like auto carriers, think that they're not in the same business at all as homeowners carriers who are completely different than life and health. We've been very fortunate in that now we have live customers in really every line of business, from personal lines to commercial P&C to life, health, disability, even health insurance, more typically, which would be out of the insurance space and be more health. We even have those now. So we're in every line of business that is insurance.
And then what does the insurance company get out of using you? Are they saving time? Are they saving money? What's the benefits to them?
Yeah, the biggest thing is every carrier in the world knows they need to go digital, right? A lot of carriers don't know it. What does that actually mean? And so if you think of payments, or actually if you think of insurance and payments, really payments is the foundation of insurance. I promise to pay you if a certain claim or peril occurs, if you pay me, right? So that's the foundation of insurance. So what a lot of carriers, over the last couple of years have realized is, wait a minute, if we start down our digital journey and make sure that we are getting rid of paper processes and paper procedures around payments, that will cover about 80 to 90% of it. So the main areas that we really help with carriers is removing bills, so digitizing those bills, allowing for digital customer service. So when a customer logs onto a website or these assets, they can help themselves. And then also on the claims pay side, so being able to remove checks. Still about 80% of all claims payments today are still made by check, believe it or not. And the reason why that is, it's not because of technology. We've had ACH and the ability to pay for a very long time. It's because the use cases that are required to solve all of that claim payment ecosystem is pretty broad, and our solution solves that. And so really around getting, actually achieving digital is really what we are providing. And we're doing it in a way that if you're not focused on insurance, you just can't do all of those use cases.
So I know you're growing at a really rapid rate and you've scratched the surface of the entire industry. Are there any other applications that you're looking at down the road for your technology?
It's a great question. So the insurance industry in the U.S. is very large, right? 1.5 trillion or so payments opportunity inbound, another trillion outbound, plus another 500 billion in payables. So it's a $3 trillion industry. And to be honest, we have not really thought about, well, we're going to go to another industry or go to some other way to expand our TAM. It is really, really big enough. So what we are focusing and relentlessly working on is how do we make the experience better for insureds, and how do we make the experience better for carriers by digitizing and really making sure that Treasury who's in the middle of this, can have great software that will make it really easy and use one vendor to do that. And that's really been our passion, and we're going to be doing that for the next couple of years, honestly. We're not really looking at expanding any other industry or outside of insurance, yeah.
You are a part of the Fintech Revolution. Where do you think the puck is going?
Well, I really think, at least from the insurance context, it's very similar. If you look at Amazon and Netflix and companies like that have really great net promoter scores, why is it that they do so good and insurance typically has been a laggard? Well, first of all, it's very easy to self-service. You order something from Amazon, it shows up. When it doesn't show up, you can log on, you can find out all the information you need and resolve it by either tracking or whatever. Now, it's a much simpler use case, but actually getting the package here is not simple at all. But the customer service piece is, it should be that same level with insurance, right? I should make a payment, and when a peril occurs, get paid. And when things are anything opposite of that, it should be very easy for me to really self-service, find out what I need to do, and move forward with my life without having to call somebody. So where we really think that the puck is going in the long term is making it so that insurance is really easy to use, and when there's a problem, be able to self-help via all of these digital assets in anywhere, any way that I want. So I could ask Alexa, hey, what happened with my payment? And Alexa would be able to tell me, things like that. So the ultimate customer service is getting rid of customer service. And we have a lot of passion around that. So we're working on getting more information about the customer journey and being able to find out where we can add software that will make that journey either easier by these portals and mobiles that I've been talking about, or ultimately through AI, working with, hey, when a customer does X, Y, and Z, they are very likely to churn and stop paying. So that's where we think it's going.
You're growing at such a rapid rate. You've had so much success. What is your biggest challenge now?
It's a great question. So one of the biggest challenges that we have right now really is scaling the business, and it's a high quality problem. Companies that are usually our size, the big issue is, really related to what you asked earlier. How do you find a big enough TAM? How do you figure out product market fit? How can you sell to large tier one customers if you're down on the bottom end, or if you're on the top end, how do you move? Well, we've kind of solved all that. So really now what we're focusing on is just scaling the business, scaling the product and the organization. And, we've hired some really great executives to help us do that, as well as are just focusing on how do we build the product to make it easier and easier and easier to implement. And then when there are issues, because there are always issues in software and in life, how do we make it sure that it's easy for insureds or carriers to kind of self-help? And around that is really scaling the business. We are planning on doubling, as I said, we'll double our volume. We doubled our volume last year. We'll double our volume this year, and I'm sure we'll double it again. And so that's a lot of scale around the business, which is great because as we get bigger and we can provide more software and service and functions for our insureds and our carrier partners, that will help us scale even more. So it's pretty exciting.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you do?
I just love software, honestly. So it's really funny. When I was running an insurance companies these days really are technology companies. And we had a lot of software that One Inc. built, or we were using other people's software. And it got to the point where we sold our assets. So we sold our insurance company and other insurance operations. I was like, do I really want to keep running insurance entities, or do I want to go into software? And I was like, I'm going to go into software. I think I'll make less money. Ultimately, I don't know if that's the case anymore because we're doing really great. But it's just something that I love, helping and solving problems from a software and process perspective. And that's something that we can do really well at One Inc.
How do you get in the door at those insurance companies?
That is a great question. So earlier in our career, we would go and talk to people and we'd say, hey, you have a payments problem. And they would look at us and go, what are you talking about? We don't have a payments problem. Payments work. And then so we had to really kind of educate and help customers understand, hey, here's the value that we can bring. And in the beginning, and as a smaller company, it's really about personal relationships. You got to pick up the phone and, I'm from the insurance industry. And so we knew a lot of people in the insurance industry. But at the same time, you still need great marketing materials and backup so that when you show up, you are batting above your average, right? So that people look at you and go, wow, this is a company that not only do I like the people, I feel comfortable and confident in the business and the brand. And I think that's where a lot of people in software and in insurance ignore brands, and they think brands don't really matter that much because you're just selling stuff. We really early on focused on One Inc. as a brand, on the way that our logo is presented. And so that was the beginning. And then now we are doing a lot of outreach with either cold calling or calling up on relationships and really building out our marketing platform. Kathy has joined the company, and this year with COVID, it's a whole new thing, right? How do you get in front of carriers now? I think one of the best ways is thought leadership, doing shows like you. So thank you for having us on. And also doing conferences, virtual conferences, that is good, relevant content that people want to hear and want to solve a problem. So kind of a culmination of all that.
For our folks watching and listening who want to learn more about One Inc. and what you're doing, where is the best place for them to go?
Well, obviously, oneinc.com would be a great place to start. People can reach out to myself or Kathy, and we'd love to help anybody on their journey as well, because it's hard to break in the insurance industry. But what's good about it is that once you do, you start to get these tailwinds that really give you, I think, a competitive advantage. And we're feeling that now. But there was many years where we had to fight and scrape and just to get in a couple of doors, and then once you're in, got to perform. So.
Awesome. Well, this has been Seth Green with Chris Ewing of One Inc. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Seth. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening, and we'll talk to you or see you next time.